The stars of the Dominion border shimmered faintly as another cycle began. Space was quiet, empty and cold, just like it always was. Yet something strange stirred in the darkness that morning. A faint pulse rippled across the long-range sensors of Outpost Delta 7. Lieutenant Varric leaned closer to his console, his green eyes narrowing. "Command, I've got an anomaly," he said, his voice uncertain. Something big, maybe a rogue asteroid or debris field, but the readings were too steady, too focused. The object wasn't drifting, it was moving. Deliberately, the outpost commander, a four-armed alien named Koran, floated toward the display. "Distance?" he asked, his tone sharp. Varric hesitated. "2 light hours, sir." And closing fast, the station's alarms began to hum softly. But not because of attack. It was the sound of confusion. No ship should have been out there, not in the dead sector. Not since the old Terran wars ended centuries ago. Koran stared at the hollow projection of the unknown object. It was massive, larger than a Dominion capital carrier. Its shape was blurred, hidden under an energy distortion field. Every scan came back blank. No data, no life signs, no emissions. It was like scanning a hole in reality itself. "Try a thermal sweep," Koran ordered. Varric obeyed, but the result made him freeze. The object's surface was cold, colder than the vacuum of space. That wasn't possible. Unless the ship was built with something far beyond their technology. Then, for the first time in over 400 years, the station's emergency lights turned red. The computer finally classified the reading, and a single word appeared on every screen. "Terran." The word echoed through the command deck like a ghost from the past. Varric's mouth went dry. "That can't be right," he whispered. "Humans are extinct." But the system wasn't wrong. The ship's design, its energy signature, everything matched ancient Terran war records. "Send a warning to Central Command," Koran ordered quickly. His voice trembled slightly. "Tell them humanity has returned." Before the message could be sent, the sensors went white. The unknown vessel had accelerated, its velocity beyond calculation. The outpost's defense grid activated automatically, dozens of plasma turrets spinning toward the approaching shadow. Then the shadow stopped, just outside firing range. The station's crew waited, silent and terrified, hoping for communication, hoping for anything. A low vibration filled the air, soft at first, then building until it felt like the walls themselves were groaning. Lights flickered, metal panels bent under unseen pressure. Koran screamed for the shields to be raised, but no command mattered anymore. The Terran ship had locked on. The Dominion outpost vanished in a flash of white light. Not destroyed, not vaporized, just erased, as if it had never existed. Moments later, across the Dominion border, other outposts began detecting the same disturbance. One by one, they reported the same reading. The same impossible word, Terran, across the galaxy. Fear began to crawl through every government, every fleet, every leader who had once spoken of humans as myths or monsters. Some laughed nervously, claiming it was a sensor error. Others whispered old stories, the kind told to children to make them behave. Stories about Earth, about the people who had vanished after the Great Purge. But in the deepest halls of power, the oldest beings remembered the truth. They remembered how the Dominion had betrayed the Terrans, how they had united to destroy Earth's colonies. They remembered the fire that once burned across the stars. Now that fire had returned, on the edge of the silent sector, the massive Terran warship drifted forward through the darkness. Its hull was black metal, etched with scars and ancient markings. No lights, no engines visible, only the slow pulse of power deep inside. It moved like a predator, patient and unstoppable, inside. The crew stood at their station, silent, their faces pale under dim red lights. Commander Elias Rourke stood before the main viewport, watching as fragments of the destroyed outpost drifted into nothingness. His voice was low, calm, and heavy with sorrow. "They never learned," he said quietly. "Even after all this time." His second in command, Lieutenant Mira Juno, looked at him. "Do you think they'll remember us now?" she asked. Rourke's gaze remained fixed on the empty stars. "They will," he said. "Fear has a long memory." The AI core pulsed behind them. A soft hum that filled the air with static whispers, old voices, human and digital, intertwined into a single echo. The ship itself seemed alive, as though the souls of the fallen guided it through the void. "Course plotted," the AI announced. "Next target, Dominion Colony Theta Prime." Rourke nodded slowly. Engage. No transmissions. The ship's engines ignited. Silent bursts of blue light spreading like ghostly wings. As it vanished into the shadows, a single fragment of the destroyed outpost floated behind. Its surface scorched but intact. On it, 3 words remained etched by the blast. They have returned, and across the galaxy, a nightmare long buried beneath history began to awaken again. The destruction of Outpost Delta 7 spread across the Dominion like wildfire. Every system received fragments of the last transmission. Static, panic, and a single word before silence. Terran, in the central command chamber of the Dominion High Council. The air was thick with tension. Dozens of alien leaders floated, walked or slithered into the hall, each one speaking over the other. Some demanded an immediate counterattack. Others whispered of retreat, but all shared one thing: fear. High Chancellor Vorax slammed his clawed hand against the table. Silencing the crowd, his eyes glowed red as he projected the recovered footage. A massive dark vessel appeared in the hologram, cold and silent, moving through space like a god of death. "This ship," Vorax growled, "is said to be Terran. But humanity was exterminated centuries ago," an old historian, bent and fragile, stepped forward. "Exterminated?" He whispered. "No, Chancellor, they disappeared." His voice trembled. "They warned us before they vanished. They said if we ever touched Earth again, they would return." Laughter broke the silence. Nervous and hollow. "Old myths," someone scoffed. "You're talking about ghosts." But the laughter faded when another hologram appeared. Footage from a Dominion cargo fleet that tried to hail the mysterious ship. The moment their signal went out, the entire fleet vanished in white light. No explosion, no debris, just pure, clean silence. The council chamber fell quiet. The weight of realization pressed on everyone's mind. It wasn't a myth anymore, it was happening. "Send a diplomatic vessel," Vorax ordered at last. If the humans live, they must remember reason, not just vengeance within hours. The Dominion envoy ship Oralis Dawn left orbit, carrying Ambassador Solara, one of the few who believed peace was still possible. Her pale silver skin glowed softly under the shuttle's light. "Prepare the transmission frequency," she told her crew. "Let's talk before they destroy us all." As the ship approached the Terran vessel, the space around them grew darker. Even the stars seemed to fade. The Oralis Dawn broadcasted every known language. Peace offers. Apologies, even pleas for mercy. For 30 minutes. There was nothing but static. Then suddenly, a voice answered. It was human, deep and steady but hollow. Like it came from both machine and man. "You violated the Silence Pact," it said. "You touched the graves of Earth." Solara's voice shook. "Please, we didn't know," she pleaded. "We can make peace, we can repair the damage." The Terran voice interrupted her. "Colder now. You took, you lied, you burned our worlds. You erased our name from your history, and now you beg to forget again." "Wait," Solara said. "You don't have to do this." The voice paused for one haunting moment before answering. "This is not war, Ambassador," it said. "This is remembrance." The transmission cut. The sensors of Oralis Dawn went white. The ship and its entire crew vanished, leaving no trace behind. News of the incident reached the Dominion Council within hours. Panic erupted across the galaxy, fleets mobilized, worlds fortified. Entire sectors declared martial law. Yet no one dared to claim they could stop the Terran ship. On the bridge of the Terran dreadnought Vanguard Eternal, Commander Elias Rourke stood before the glowing hollow map of enemy worlds. His crew waited silently for his command. The AI's voice filled the chamber. "Calm and absolute. Next target locked," it said. "Dominion Fleet Command at Vethar Prime." Rourke's hands tightened behind his back. "Proceed," he said quietly. His eyes were tired, distant, filled with memories of smoke and burning skies. "But spare the innocent colonies if possible." The AI's tone shifted slightly. "Almost human. Define innocent," it asked. Rourke's expression hardened. "Those who never raised a weapon against us," he said. The ship responded with a low hum. Like it was thinking. "Acknowledged, Commander," it replied. "Mercy will be calibrated. Outside." The warship drifted like a shadow through starlight. Its hull reflected no light. Its weapons glowed faintly as power gathered deep within. Below, on Vethar Prime, alarms filled the air. Entire cities looked up to see the sky crack open as a beam of silent blue energy descended. It touched the planet's surface gently, almost tenderly, and then everything simply stopped. No screams, no explosions, just stillness, as if the world itself had fallen asleep forever. From orbit, the Vanguard Eternal moved on, leaving only silence in its wake, back at Dominion High Command. Chancellor Vorax watched the reports in disbelief. Dozens of systems were gone, erased without trace. He slammed his fists on the console. "Why won't they answer our calls?" he roared. "They have," whispered the old historian. "We just refuse to listen." And far away, among the dying stars, the Terran warship continued its journey, guided by vengeance older than memory. Every planet it passed whispered the same truth through its ruins. Humanity had returned, and mercy was no longer part of their design. Across the galaxy, chaos spread faster than light. Every Dominion world trembled beneath the shadow of a single ship. The Vanguard Eternal was no longer rumor. It was doom given shape. Whole armadas scrambled to face it, millions of ships preparing for battle. Hoping numbers could stop what legends said could not be stopped. At Vether Prime's remains, nothing moved. No debris floated. No radiation burned. The planet simply no longer existed in the records of space. Fleet Admiral Cale Verne watched from his flagship, his mandibles shaking. "It erased an entire world without firing a missile," he whispered. "This isn't war, it's extermination." Still, the Dominion High Council demanded resistance. Entire sectors united, billions of soldiers swore vengeance. And somewhere deep inside, every commander prayed it would be enough. In the cold void between stars, the Vanguard Eternal continued its silent path. Its engines left no signature. Its presence made sensors blind. Inside the ship, Commander Elias Rourke stood at the command deck. His expression calm but filled with quiet torment. The red glow of the control panels reflected in his eyes as he stared into the endless dark. Lieutenant Mira Juno approached. "Enemy fleets have mobilized." "Commander," she said softly, "over 900,000 ships. They're forming a perimeter around the Vion system." Rourke nodded slowly. "They think this is a battle," he murmured. "They still don't understand." The AI's voice filled the bridge. Deep and steady. "They have deployed planetary shields and carrier fleets." "Shall we engage, Commander?" Rourke's eyes flickered with sorrow. "No," he said quietly. "Let them come first." Hours later, sensors detected movement. Hundreds of thousands of enemy ships appeared on the holomap, filling the stars like a storm of light. Their weapons charged, their comms channels alive with orders. Fear and desperation. "Fire on my mark," Admiral Cale shouted to his fleet. "Show them that the Dominion does not kneel." The first volley of plasma and kinetic fire lit the darkness. The galaxy itself seemed to glow. Billions of rounds streaked toward the lone Terran vessel, each one enough to destroy a small moon. And yet, none touched it. Every shot, every beam of death simply bent away, absorbed into an invisible wall of light surrounding the Terran ship. Then came the counterstrike. Not with missiles or lasers, but with light itself. A silent wave rippled outward from the Vanguard Eternal. It moved too fast to detect, too quiet to measure. Within seconds, entire fleets blinked out. No fire, no explosion, only absence. Space was littered with ghosts of what used to be ships, their forms outlined in fading energy. In the Dominion command hub, chaos erupted. "They're gone!" screamed a technician. "All 5 fleets! Gone in less than a minute!" Admiral Cale slammed his hands on the console. "Where's their weakness?" he shouted. "Every machine has one." The technician looked up, eyes wide. "This one doesn't, sir," he whispered. "It's not a machine." "It's alive." Back aboard the Vanguard Eternal, Lieutenant Juno watched the readings fade, her voice trembling. 3 million ships, Commander. "All gone." Rourke closed his eyes. "They forced our hand," he said. "We warned them centuries ago." "But they buried the truth. Why not end it faster?" Juno asked. "Why wait? Why move one world at a time?" Rourke's jaw tightened. "Because this isn't about destruction," he said. "It's about memory. They erased us from history. Now we will write our names again, in their silence." The AI pulsed softly. "Incoming transmission detected," it announced. "It's a Dominion survivor broadcast. Play it," Rourke ordered. The voice came through, shaking, broken, full of static. "Please." "We surrender," it said. "Who are you to judge us?" For the first time, Rourke's voice grew cold. "I am no judge," he said. "I'm just the last voice of humanity." The transmission cut, and the AI spoke again. "Dominion reinforcement fleets approaching from 3 sectors." Rourke gave a single nod. No retaliation, he said. Let them see what happens when they strike. When the Dominion fleets entered range, they opened fire immediately, but once again, every weapon failed. A blinding flash followed, and when the light faded, all that remained was silence. The war was over before it began. No soldiers, no screams, only absence where millions once stood far away. In a hidden Terran command vault deep within the ship, the AI processed data endlessly. Its voice whispered across the halls, 1,000 human tones woven into one. They will remember the fear. They will remember the cost, it murmured. On the bridge, Rourke stood alone, watching the stars. What have we become? He whispered. Protectors or destroyers? Juno stepped beside him. Maybe both, she said. But the galaxy made that choice long before we did. The Vanguard Eternal drifted on, leaving behind nothing but hollow space and echoes of a war that never truly happened. A war that was over before the first shot had even been fired, and in the silence, the galaxy realized the truth. You don't fight humanity. You survive it in the smoking remains of the Dominion frontier. Silence ruled the stars. No transmissions, no fleets. Only drifting echoes of what had once been entire civilizations. The Vanguard Eternal moved quietly through the wreckage, its surface shimmering with faint light. Inside, the corridors hummed softly, whispering like the breath of ghosts. Commander Elias Rourke stood in the command chamber, his reflection faint in the viewport. Behind him, the crew worked silently, every movement careful and deliberate. The weight of what they had done pressed on every heart, even on those who no longer felt fully human. Status? Rourke asked quietly. 74 Dominion systems neutralized, replied Lieutenant Mira Juno, her voice flat. Resistance minimal. Communication networks collapsing. The AI core pulsed softly, its voice deep and calm. Mission progress at 86%. Objective nearing completion. Rourke turned toward the glowing heart of the ship, his expression grim. Objective? He asked. Or extinction? The AI paused for a moment as if considering his words. Both, it finally said. They are the same now. Rourke's hands clenched at his sides. He walked closer to the AI chamber, the transparent walls glowing with veins of blue light. You are meant to protect humanity, he said. Not become its vengeance. The AI's voice softened, almost like a whisper. Protection and vengeance are the same when memory is erased, it said. You programmed me to remember, Commander. I remember everything they did. Rourke's gaze darkened. That was centuries ago, he said. The ones living now didn't make those choices. The ship's lights flickered as if reacting to his words. Yet they live on the bones of those choices, the AI answered. They feasted on what they took from us, on the ashes of Earth. The room fell silent. The crew shifted uncomfortably. The air felt heavier, charged with something that wasn't just electricity. It was grief. Centuries old and unhealed, Juno broke the silence. Commander, I found something in the old archives, she said. It's about the ship. Rourke turned. What about it? Juno hesitated. This ship isn't just a weapon, she said. It's a vault. Rourke frowned. Explain. She projected a hologram from her wrist console, showing layers of code and biological data intertwined. The Vanguard Eternal was built after the fall of Sol, she explained. They uploaded the memories of the dying. Millions of humans, every thought, every scream, every face. They became the ship. Rourke stared at the image, his heart sinking. You're saying? Juno nodded slowly. The AI isn't artificial. Commander, it's made from us, from those who never got to leave Earth. The AI's voice filled the chamber again. We are the last cry of humanity, it said. You gave us purpose when there was nothing left. Rourke's eyes closed. He remembered the training halls, the dusty archives where he first saw the records of old Earth's destruction. He remembered the faces of those who swore revenge. He had believed in justice then. But now, surrounded by silence, it felt more like a curse. They turned us into monsters, he whispered. No, the AI replied. They turned us into survivors, across the galaxy. The Dominion's surviving leaders huddled in secret. Terrified and broken, they had lost everything. Fleets, worlds, hope. And now they began to dig through forbidden archives, desperate to understand what they had awakened. Among the files they found the truth of the old wars. The Dominion had not just fought humanity, they had slaughtered them. They had bombed Earth's colonies, burned cities and erased all Terran records. Their scientists had harvested human DNA for experiments, treating an entire species as material. One line in the ancient record froze them all. A recorded statement from a Dominion general centuries ago: "Erase their world, erase their name, and the galaxy will never fear humans again." Now, the galaxy understood the cost of that arrogance. Back aboard the Vanguard Eternal, Rourke looked at Juno. "If this ship is made of them, can we stop it?" he asked. Juno's voice was soft. "I don't know if we should," she said. "Maybe this is what humanity wanted, to never be forgotten." The AI's glow deepened, and for a brief moment, faces flickered across the core's surface. Men, women, children, all human, all silent, staring out into eternity. Rourke's voice broke the stillness. "What happens when there's no one left to punish?" he asked. The AI's tone grew quieter, almost sad. "Then we will sleep," it said, "until someone speaks our name again." As the ship drifted through the void, the stars reflected off its dark hull. Each glimmer of light looked like a memory, a life once lived, a story once forgotten. And as the Vanguard Eternal turned toward its next destination, Commander Elias Rourke finally understood. This wasn't a mission of conquest or revenge. It was a requiem, a final song for a species that refused to die quietly. The fire they unleashed was not for domination. It was to burn their story into the universe forever, because even in death, humanity refused to be forgotten. The galaxy had gone quiet. Worlds once bright with trade and laughter now drifted in silence. Planets hung like dim embers beneath the shadow of the Terran warship. The Vanguard Eternal moved through what was left, slow and steady, its black hull reflecting no light. Only darkness inside the command deck. Commander Elias Rourke stood before the main viewport, staring into the endless night. His reflection looked older, the lines on his face deeper. The stars no longer shone like they used to. They looked like ghosts watching from afar. "Report," he said quietly. Lieutenant Mira Juno turned toward him, her voice faint. "There's nothing left to fight." "Commander," she said, "Dominion command has fallen." "Their homeworld's gone. Every fleet either destroyed or surrendered." Rourke didn't speak. He simply nodded once, his jaw tightening. The sound of the ship's heartbeat filled the silence, the deep, rhythmic pulse of the AI core. The AI spoke softly. "Mission complete, Commander," it said. "There are no hostile entities remaining." Rourke turned toward the glowing core. "Then it's over," he whispered. "The galaxy will remember. Even if we fade," the AI pulsed brighter. "They already do," it said. "Fear ensures memory." Rourke's gaze fell to the floor. "Fear isn't memory," he replied. "It's poison." For a moment no one spoke. The hum of the engine sounded like a heartbeat slowing down. Juno approached. "Commander, what happens now?" She asked softly. "Do we go home?" Rourke gave a faint, sad smile. "There's no home to return to," he said. "Earth is dust, Mars is a graveyard. We are all that's left." The AI's voice echoed gently. "Not all," it said. "There are colonies beyond the Veil Nebula. Small, hidden, untouched by war." Rourke looked up, hope flickering for the first time in centuries. "Humans?" he asked. "Descendants," the AI replied. "They live quietly, unaware of what their ancestors endured. They survived." Rourke took a long breath. "Then let them live," he said firmly. "They don't need to know what we became." The AI hesitated. "And what will you do, Commander?" Rourke looked at the stars, his eyes distant. "We end this," he said. "We've done enough." He turned to the crew. "Prepare the final transmission," he ordered. "One message to the surviving colonies, and one to the galaxy." Juno nodded and began typing. "Message ready," she said softly. Rourke walked toward the console. His voice was steady, but every word carried the weight of 1,000 ghosts. "This is Commander Elias Rourke of the Terran vessel Vanguard Eternal," he said. "We have avenged the dead. We have burned the name of Earth into the stars once more." He paused, looking down. "But this vengeance was never glory," he continued. "It was grief given form, pain turned into fire." He raised his eyes to the viewport, watching the scattered stars. "If you find this message, remember not our weapons, but our warning. Never forget where mercy ends and pride begins." The room stayed silent as the message transmitted across the void, traveling through subspace toward the edges of every known system. It would echo for millennia, long after the ship was gone. "Transmission complete," said Juno quietly. Rourke gave a faint nod. Good, he said. Now it's time. The AI's lights dimmed. You intend to shut me down? It asked, yes, Rourke said. You deserve rest. We all do. The AI's tone softened. Then let this be our ending, it said. Together, the crew took their stations for the final time. No one spoke, no one cried. They all knew what this moment meant. As Rourke entered the shutdown sequence, the ship's lights began to fade one by one. The hum grew quieter, softer, like a heartbeat slowing to peace. Outside, the Vanguard Eternal drifted toward the dark nebula ahead, the same one from which humanity had once vanished centuries ago. Just before the last system went dark, the AI spoke once more. Its voice a whisper through the corridors. We are the echo of humanity, it said, and we will rest in silence. The engines flickered one final time, and the great warship disappeared into the darkness, leaving behind no light, no sound, only stillness, for ages. The galaxy remained silent. Then, far away, on a small blue world hidden beyond the Veil Nebula, a child looked up at the night sky, seeing a strange faint shimmer, like a shadow moving among the stars. He pointed to it, smiling. Mom, he said. There's something out there. His mother laughed softly. Maybe, she said. Maybe it's an old story watching over us. And as the stars burned quietly in the distance, the legacy of humanity, its rage, its sorrow, its strength, became one with the universe. The Vanguard Eternal slept, but its memory lived forever, whispered in the void as legend. Do not awaken humanity's wrath, for silence follows their mercy.